Hello everyone, this is Kirknay signing on, and welcome to another episode of Kirknay Civilization Project. And I am probably going to be doing some more off-camera work after this little tiny clip here. But I just had to show you, while I was doing off-camera work such as exploring around, gathering various materials here, there, and everywhere, finding another witchwood tree, which I'll probably chop down at some point, I actually came across a pool of liquid essence. So, this is how you get your Arcane Compendium. It is required for everything in Ars Magica. It's basically a walkthrough guide, and at the same time, it is the only way you can get started. So, have a block above the essence pool, put an item frame on it, and then pop the book into there. Now you see a ton of particles flowing into the book of all of the magic in the essence pool. Basically, it's acquiring knowledge. And now we have an Arcane Compendium, and I have unlocked the secrets of the Arcane. And so, we should probably head back to base. So, while we're en route, I'll tell you what everything is that's being shown around here. Isn't that it? No. Slash help to... Oh. Slash AMUI con slash AMUI con CFG. This is your negative buffs, this is your positive buffs. It is all completely customizable. So, I'm just personalizing it all right now because I can finally actually config all of this. So let's just have a slide status HUD here. Contingency type. Interesting. Just play headwear. So this is basically my status HUD from Ars Magica. This is my experience bar. I'm going to have it right there, right in the center. My level can go right in the center. Numeric XP value, XP bar. Let's have the numeric as well. Numeric burnout. Well, first let's work on placing all of this where I want it to be placed on the screen. And if you haven't noticed, I really don't have that much mana, and you also are noticing a red meter on the other side called burnout. That is, for all intents and purposes, well, the burnout is, for all intents and purposes, it's a form of debuff that you get when you cast spells, basically. Either way, I'm heading back in the direction that we had come from, I think. Aren't I? I can't really tell, I get lost easily here and there. Yes, because I remember that, jumping off of that into that pool of water. So let's get moving! Okay. Either way, the mana regenerates slowly over time. You can actually increase the mana regen with abilities, but it's mostly along the lines of a form of It's mana. It's just through and through mana that regenerates over time. You can't buff it. You can't buff the regen that much, but you can buff it here and there using abilities and or gaining the talent for it. Either way, I'll head back to the base and meet you there. Hello everyone, this is Kirknay signing on. Wait a minute, you probably don't recognize me in this form. There we go, I should be much more recognizable now. Either way, this is Kirknay signing on. I have made a few Okay guys, I'm back and I'm right now just chilling, checking out my new bat form, which I got from caving. Which, speaking of which, I should probably change back, so that I don't get too used to using the bat form. Usually the Simu-folk aren't exactly happy about it because they think I'm a man. Oh crap, I forgot about that. Oh crap, I'm gonna die.
Block.
There we go.
Block.
Don't press shift when right clicking with a lava bucket. Either way, this was the loot from my most recent caving expedition, because I had just now gotten my iron pick, so this optimal cavernous pick is now going to be a backup for me. Either way, now that we have a bit of the resources that come with Ars Magica so that we can actually get started, let's work on that, shall we? First, let's get 8 cobble, pop it into a furnace, smelt it up, and also do the same with some sand. Oh, that was a mistake earlier. That was either way. Let's work on this first. So we've currently got a decent supply of items, but the first thing we want to create in order to actually well, the first thing we've got to get is the Oculus, which is a particular block that allows you to spend skill points and unlock your abilities. Okay, Okay, in order to craft it, we need 2 coal, 3 stone bricks, 1 glass, and a blue topaz. I have the blue topaz in my inventory currently. We have the coal in my inventory. Now we just need the stone bricks. There we go. See how easy that was? Yeah, it's gonna get more difficult later. Trust me. So we've got the blue topaz, the coal, and at last that piece of glass. We now have an Oculus. Well, this seems like a good place to get started. Okay, we've got 4 different types of trees for us to work on. We've got utility, which unlocks abilities of various kinds. We've got offensive and defensive. The first thing you probably want to invest in is offensive, so projectile is the first trait you can learn. The second trait you should probably learn is physical damage. After that, your choice between magic damage and fire damage. Honestly, I would recommend fire damage. So, there we go. I have my first 3 skill points spent. Let's get, after a quick bite to eat, steak. Let's get the next items created. So, if I remember correctly, it has to do with 3 slabs, if I'm correct. Hang on. Inscription table requires a spell parchment, a piece of paper and 2 sticks, okay. A feather, and a torch, okay. So, feather, we've got the torch, the 3 sugarcane, and the sticks. So, there we go. Actually, let's first grade the paper. 1 of them per spell parchment, but we're going to need multiple, so we might as well get the other spell parchment we can create created. Those 3, those 2, the spell parchment, the feather, and then finally the torch. We now have an inscription table, which is required to actually create the spell designs. We'll get further into the designs of spells in a minute. But first, there we go. Ta-da! We now have a inscription table. Now we need a book and quill in order to get started actually creating the spells that we want to use. So, let's get started here. 3 sugarcane. 1 piece of leather. And then we'll want a feather and an ink sac. But I can get the ink sac rather quick if we don't have one. There we do. So, 3 paper, 1 piece of leather, we now have a book. Book plus ink sac and feather equals book and quill. Now we can start creating our first spell design. If you follow the path that I had, I would recommend having a projectile of fire damage. But you can also add in physical damage if you wish to cause it to be a flaming rock flying at them. So let's go flaming rock. Remove the book, and we now have a spell recipe for flaming rock. We will need a vanilla iron sword, 2 red runes, a snowball, 2 ventium dust, an arrow, and a flint and steel. Now you're probably going to be freaking out asking what the heck is a rune. A rune is a crafting item in Ars Magica that is relatively easy to create. There we go. I just made 2 blank runes. We'll probably want a few more runes during the process. So, what runes will we in fact need? 2 red. Okay. That's all we need? Really? Oh yeah, besides the... yeah. 2 red runes, and plus the blank rune in order to actually get the spell creation started. I'll get to that in a little bit. We'll need 2 ventium dust and a snowball. The ventium dust, all that needs to do is smelt 8 of these ventium ore, and you've got a bunch of ventium dust. So that can be started smelting right away. Oh, creeper. I hear you. Oh, it was one of the citizens. Either way. We also need a flint and steel, which is relatively easy. And that's basically it. So, arrow. We need an arrow, which we have 2 of. Awesome. arrows, snowball, flint and steel. We've got the flint in hand. Hang on, let's get our inventory sorted out real quick. Actually, that's something
once you
that's
have
going to
all
take
the
quite some
materials
time,
needed,
I'll get everything sorted out, and
what you need is a
I'll
crafting
be
altar.
right back.
The crafting altar is made using magic walls, a block type of your personal choice from the possible outcomes, and 5 blocks of a at least somewhat value item. It could be glass, it could be diamond blocks, sunstone. It could basically be any of them. So basically, once you have all of this built, you've got a completely functional crafting altar to create whatever spells you want. Now, there is a somewhat limited scale as to what you can create, but it really isn't that much of a limit. Either way, personally, I prefer to use stone bricks for the first crafting altar you want to create. I honestly prefer the stone bricks over much else, but in order to create a crafting altar in the first place, you need a Ventium dust and a piece of smooth stone. That is honestly, it would almost be too easy. That's what I think. But it's not my point to decide, and it is relatively costly for those who don't have a large amount of infrastructure yet. But if you don't have that much infrastructure, why are you involving spells in the first place, honestly? Well, I don't exactly have that much infrastructure, but I do have enough and a bunch of opportunity. That's pretty much mine. Never mind. I'm just confusing myself right now, trying to get it into a form that is understandable by people that honestly don't have various social disorders such as Asperger's, for example, of me. And honestly, I don't care what people say about not saying that you're autistic, saying that you have Asperger's. Asperger's is autism, honestly. It is a autism spectrum disorder. Anyway, enough of my rants. Let's get working on building a crafting altar. Technically, I can construct it in here. I'll just have to hollow out a massive amount of area. So let's get started on that. Wait a minute. How high is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I can build it in here. It'll be a tight fit, but I can successfully build it in here. Especially since I have a platform that will allow me to navigate smaller spaces than normally possible, which is actually what I use all the time for mining purposes in this world. One, it's safer. You can have a very low chance of actually falling in lava if you're flying above, if you're able to quickly double tap, jump, and all of a sudden you're floating above it instead of falling into it. But the main reason why I use it is so that I can dig smaller tunnels that require less uses of my tool, but at the same time be able to see almost as much. You know, having a
lot less area being required to mine out, and still being somewhat organized in what direction is where. I'll have to, in order to show you guys what I'm talking about, I'll have to show you guys my entire mining setup in a little bit, but either way, I think I might have dug a little too far. Oh well. I know for a fact that at least that is stones. Let's take another look. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. I had gone a little too far. Oh well. Yes, I did seriously call my pickaxe the Metalsmith's cheapie, by the way. Because it is a cheap way to get a iron pickaxe. I mean, really, I'm using cobblestone for the binding. Either way. We're first going to be wanting to build the base structure. Oh, and on top of that, we're also going to want to make some magic walls. Great. More requirements. Either way, let's work on... Actually, I'll get this area prepped up for actually showing you the construction. Okay guys, I'm back, and I have built everything except for the corner pieces, the crafting altar, the lectern, and the lever. You might be asking, what the heck is a lectern? It's a form of bookstand, basically. You know, the podiums that are used for political presentations or presentations of various other kinds? They're a taller form of they're basically along the lines of a taller form of lectern. So, here's the lectern, 3 slabs, and a set of, and 1 block of planks. So, since it's that easy to create, let's just plop it down. Let's just rush through it, not even worry about it, not even talk about it until it's time to actually use it. So, there's the lectern. There's stick, cobble, lever. There we go. And the last block to finalize this being a crafting altar, the crafting altar itself. There we go. We now have a complete crafting altar with ability to create our first spell. So let's get started with that, shall we? First, let's put the recipe there, and then let's first toss in the blank rune to get it started. Did that get it started? Yeah, I think so. Where's... what hidden requirements is going on here? Well, first let's look at this real quick. What is stone brick +1 effect? Okay. Glass +1 effect. Okay. We should be good though. Weird. I'm guessing we need a layer of air for the roof. so that it seems less smothered. That's what I'm guessing. Because it is a multi-block structure, it might actually need some room for it to actually function as a multi-block structure. Okay, so there we go. Toss it in. Should be working. Dang it. Sorry guys that I'm running into problems right now. I'm having problems that I haven't anticipated for. Mostly because I'm somewhat inexperienced with this mod myself. Does it require nothing to be... Oh, now I know what's wrong. See those holes in the walls? Yeah, I forgot something. Well, let's finish off this wall removal real quick, because I know exactly what we are missing. We are missing magic wall, which takes 2 Ventium dust and a piece of smooth stone. I know for a fact we have more Ventium dust here. Let's go ahead and craft the magic wall. Oh, it's on the sides. There we go. We now have the entire set of 16 magic wall. Oh well. Now let's just toss in the blank rune, and now we are started on our first spell. So, first things first, 1 Ventium dust. Now we need an arrow. And then a snowball. A red rune. A flint and steel. A Ventium dust again, a red rune, an iron sword, and now we just need a spell parchment to finalize the recipe, and we now have our first spell. Shall we test it out? Well, before we test it out, right click, flaming rock, okay. Let's go with that for our emblem. So we now have the spell Flaming Rock in our inventory in that particular slot. Let's try it. Ooh, level! Ding! Side. Oh no. Either way, I'm waiting to gain enough mana to cast it again. Oh, and speaking of which, it's currently costing 47 mana to cast it. Because of, well, the reason why it is currently, now it's stopped decreasing. But the reason why it was decreasing was because it had increased in the first place due to the burnout, which is shown on the bottom left corner of the screen. The mana level is not enough to cast the Flaming Rock spell again. But
oh, I think I'm lost. Which house is mine?
I'm prepared to cast it on the spider at the soonest opportunity. So let's wait for our 40 mana. Okay, we now have our 40 mana. Let's cast the spell. It did a tad bit of damage, but now we have leveled again. Let us cast it. We have full mana once again. Let's cast it once again. It doesn't seem to be doing much damage, but if you look in your options, controls, there is a button, C in this case, which changes your casting mode. It was on minimal, this is medium. Well, actually it's low and high power. I do not have enough mana to actually cast the high level form of it. So let's just cast the low form of it again.
You know, I've always wanted to be a lion tamer.
Sink down a little bit so that we can get another shot at it until we gain again. There we go. We are now level 6. And do we have enough mana cap? Yes, we do. So let's test the high power level spell on a cow here. I could not tell how much damage that actually did. Darn it. Oh well. The high power spells do a lot more damage than the low power spells, but at the expense of them doing much more, costing more mana and causing a heck of a lot more burnout than normal. But it does stack a little bit if I'm correct. So it is much easier to cast one high power spell than it is to cast a whole lot of low power spells that do the same amount of damage. Oh, I'm starting to starve to death. I should head back to the base. Don't be getting some, guy. You just gotta harvest your current crop. Sorry, I was yelling at a villager who decided that he didn't have enough potatoes to plant to increase his stock to the wanted amounts, so that he could grow enough crops. Yeah, either way. I'm checking on the food levels of the villagers. He is now well fed, which is good. How are you? Well fed. Awesome. Coco, you are a little hungry. Here, have a steak. I know, slightly overpowered, but either way. Let's target another up. Wormhole, aka Mr. Boom 532, is attempting to contact me, so actually, it's been long enough for another episode, so this is Kirknay signing off. I hope you enjoy the video, and have a nice day.